Greetings and welcome, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
You're joining Ashala and Crystal for our weekly live Q&A. Before we get started, we've just got a bit of housekeeping. So as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. It's lovely to see so many of you familiar faces here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Suzanne, Tara Lupo, Ricky, blessings to all of you. And
Hello, Ethan.
Hi, Ethan. Happy full moon.
Yes.
Happy full moon in Leo, just approaching here literally within the next 24 hours.
Have you learned anything about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Leo is the sign of confidence. It's a sign of like basically our not enthusiasm, but our self-confidence and our ability to interact and be seen in the world. It's also our heart, our spirit of generosity, and extroversion. So all of those things are connected to the sign of Leo. Also loyalty, are the causes that we're loyal to, and creativity. So this is the one full moon, 1 out of 12 full moons, where there's basically a highlighted spotlight on all those things. They're at their, you could almost call it like the high noon of those energies when the moon is full in that sign. So it's the high noon of those energies. And we were just discussing earlier about how that's showing up for us individually. And I've just noticed a lot more focus this week on not only self-care, but really the little details of taking that extra bit of time to plan out how I'm going to do my routines and care for my physical form, and just the honor that we have these bodies, and that, you know, it's not just an obligation or a chore. It's our great honor to care for them and beautify them. And we talked a little bit about beauty in last week's show, so there's a slight carryover of that, I feel. But before we get into questions,
I'm hearing self-adornment, and that is such beautiful spell casting, because it's speaking of adoring ourselves in it, right? And I have this little post-it on my work desk that says, "I love and adore you, Crystal." And then today I was like, oh, the self-adornment. And I just have always been such a fan of adorning myself in one way or another. And so coming up to, the Valentine's Day time here with the full moon in Leo energy leading up to it, how are we adorning and adoring ourselves, and those little rituals of self appreciation? And how do we look at that, and what's our unique story with that?
Beautiful, Crystal, because we often associate that kind of adornment with ego, like, oh, I want to look amazing and I want to look better than that person. There's a lot of comparativeness in our modern culture, especially for women. And it feels like, instead of throwing it all out and going, we don't care, we're just going to wear our sweatpants and everything gray and black and no color, and like, instead of going to that extreme, it's like, where's that middle ground of like unique self-expression? Because again, Leo is the sign of creativity. It's not just having brand name this, that, and the other. It's what is your creative self-expression through the way you present yourself, and caring about that. So a little bit of an external makeover. We focus a lot on doing the inside work, and we just want to acknowledge that full moon in Leo reminds us to do that external
Yes.
Play.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to also take a moment before we get into the questions. Thank you so much. They look interesting. I'm excited. Thank you to everyone who followed up and subscribed to our website and our email list. We have some exciting things coming up. I have just launched a sale over this month. So I'm offering something for every budget, honestly, 25% off of my hour and half hour long sessions.
How much are your half hours normally?
My half hours normally are $75 Canadian. Yes,
So
and
25% off that, folks. I mean, that is a
so
deal. Yeah.
it's such an in I just it's such an incredible time for us to be coming together, for us to connect, and I just want to offer all that I can and get to know our community more. And we also have launched our first blog on our site. So if you didn't get the email for that, or if you haven't checked it out yet, please do. It's a really beautiful first offering that we have collaborated on. And if you do check it out, please leave a little like, maybe even a little comment, so we know that you've read it. And it's just exciting times for us to be teaming up and sharing some of our deeper wisdom and
Beautiful.
outside of these platforms. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
yeah.
While Crystal's pulling cards on the first question, I'm going to zip over and create a banner with the coupon code to access that sale. So
Smart.
yeah, so you can in a few moments here, I'll have that banner along the bottom, and you can check that out and then click on the link. Ooh, I don't know if I have a link on the live. Shoot.
Well, we'll put a link on it
We'll
after
put a
when
link
we
at
post
the end
it.
of the live as
You
soon
know,
as it
we're
gets
just
posted.
rolling with how to do all these things real well. So, to us, it was the most is about the offering that we're putting out there, and then beyond that, it's like whoever gets the medicine of it is exactly who needs it, and there's always trust and honor in that. But to be connecting more with our community other than these lives would be beautiful. Okay,
so I just want to mention Ethan's comment here.
Ethan.
It's important to treat things like adornment, as admiration of artistry rather than status symbol.
Precisely.
Perfectly stated, Ethan. That is exactly what we're talking about.
This has been a huge passion of mine for being in the beauty industry, and so in the love of decorating myself and others ever since I was a wee one, and something that will be coming more into fruition of working with this kind of a reality coming into the future, and just how to encourage us to have the personalized self-adornment and the personal rituals and the value of valuing ourselves in that way for ourselves. And then if other people enjoy it, then you're inspiring them too. And how lovely is that, right?
Yes, so well put. So I think we're going to go to the first question. And interesting, first question by Ricky here. Does our blood type have any impact on our spiritual journey? I have O negative blood type. So do I, Ricky.
I think I'm O positive, right?
Yeah, you're O positive. So this is, definitely in our wheelhouse, us negative, Rh negative blood types. We've heard a lot about this, and I just think it'll be great to look at the cards and see. I'm holding, as always, a broad perspective on this topic. I think that, we have, there's narratives that suggest that, the Rh negatives hybrid, and that we were, part of a seeded, Anunnaki seeded group of hybrid creations, and therefore we have these special abilities, but there's some suspicion that we might also have, like alien DNA or lizard DNA, and then therefore does that make us, somehow maybe not as compassionate? Or there's a whole spectrum. I've started hearing about this in the 80s, and I've kind of kept a finger on that pulse for a lot of years, because I am that, and it always felt really relevant to me. So let's see where we're at right now with the emerging reality of what this means, because I think there's a lot in this basket. I think that the whole mystery of our blood, not just the blood types, but so much
Mhm.
of what the alchemical energy of our blood is. I think there's a lot more we're going to be learning, and going back to some earlier basically wisdom and mystery school traditions around even the alchemy and the chemical composition of our blood. So there's a lot more under the surface of this question,
Mm.
but I want to point out to you how relevant it is to this full moon and Leo energy, because Leo actually has the alchemical connection with gold. So the lion represents gold, and in ancient traditions, it was also connected to the blood lineage. So I think the fact that we're even
Ooh,
talking about this
so
right
synchronistic.
now,
Gotta love how
yeah, of
that
course.
happens, don't we? I have split it.
That one right there, middle
Okay,
one,
okay,
please.
and then where you want it to go? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Right, we're not doing a whole layout here. Okie dokie. Oh, could we
There's,
have it bigger,
yes,
please?
certainly. There's the alchemy card.
Mhm. Ooh, ooh.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I'll lay them down, and as per usual, I'll adjust them when I get them down here so I can see what I'm working with. Beautiful. All right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Well, interesting that we're talking about alchemy and temperance. Our temperance angel here is the alchemist of the tarot. So we have that blending. So that would indicate that, interesting even that we have several different blood types, and that there has been some almost like diverse, I just want to say like a diverse energy of complementary evolutionary strands, because this, it also feels like it connects to our,
Star seeds, I
yeah,
feel like.
it connects to our DNA as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in terms of, because I'm definitely not like an evolutionist, but I also am, I do see spiritual evolution of humanity as something relevant. And so I do see that there, it's almost like there's an energy around adding diverse mixtures that make everybody stronger. So I'm curious to see what you're sensing, Crystal, around
Yeah,
this.
I'm feeling into it. So definitely, oh, okay, I'm hearing blood is thicker than water, which is interesting because we've got kind of like I feel like the earth realm that is our sort of bloodline, and then we've got, because it's like these very two material cards mixed with these very two sort of esoteric like water healing, water based cards. So I'm feeling something like there's two aspects to it. There is our blood that aligns with our spiritual path, and our aspects of our DNA that align with that. And then there is the aspects to our bloodlines that connect us to the earth plane and ground us down into the material realm, and the legacy with which we leave, and sort of almost, I feel like our like soul contracts that we have. And because this is really interesting down the center here, um with the Eight of Swords up here, and it's very much like we are almost, um I feel like there's been potentially some tampering with blood and for financial gain,
Mm.
and that we're now starting to actually really see the value of our blood, and that we're starting to look in a new direction with how we honor our special sort of makeup, and what we do with it. Like I'm working, I'm working with clients that are like don't want to go and have their blood drawn, or don't want to have blood transfusions, because they're afraid of what is going into their body. And so it's
Especially
like,
post, post
mhm,
pandemic and the shots, right?
precisely.
Hmm.
So how are we, I feel like, and when I speak to that, I'm like, okay, there weren't you can't be the only, I know you're not the only people that are concerned about this. And is there new systems that are coming in to have us analyze blood, to have us work with underground blood banks or transfusion banks or whatever, and bringing it into more sort of almost like grassroots community based work with the absolute value that is our
Mm.
blood.
So I'm curious, when you said, when you were sensing something about it was tampered with for financial gain, can you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, just like when everything happened with the pandemic there, and there's been things like that all the way along, like with vaccinations all the way along, right? And that is directly affecting our bloodlines, um, and causing dis-ease and illness in our beings. And what's that for? I mean, who knows? The pharmaceutical companies to gain wealth. I mean, I think that it's definitely been like a slow and steady long game for them. And a lot of us are waking up now, seeing the bigger picture of that, and going, oh, no, we're not going to feel hogtied by this. We're not going to, um, step into that reality anymore.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
It
Does that
does.
make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I tried to get the banner going and it's not happening. I've got to redo it. So sorry. The coupon code is renewal25
You
with
can
a
put it in the
capital.
chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. Yeah,
Hmm.
I should have done that beforehand. Anyway, well, the sale goes till the 25th of March. So yeah, you can
We'll put
access
it in the show notes after this, and then
chat.
I'll announce it next time. We'll have a banner on the next live, one step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very interesting. Very interesting question. I hope that we answered it to the. I'm not able to see what the next people have written.
Yeah, I'll look at that here in a second.
Give
There we
us a
go.
second.
Renewal 25.
Aw,
That's
thank you, Mama.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh,
Oh, look at all these answers. I just love
lots of
it.
questions.
Mhm.
Oh,
What?
thanks,
Thanks,
Ricky.
Ricky.
It was just because I wanted to put it on as a ticker banner, and it ended up going on as a regular banner, and I was just like, okay, done with all
Love
that.
it, love it, love it.
So let's go back up and interesting question. I'm going to pop Laura's question on, and if you want to
Okay.
shuffle again.
We have more questions before that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
A little bit disorganized this week. It's the Leo
one from
extroversion part, right?
we have one from Suzanne.
Okay, let's see that. With the new earth, will water be drawn into earth like a whirlpool and old lands appear again?
Cool.
New earth, will water be drawn into earth like a whirlpool and old lands appear again? I kind of feel like that's two questions. But let's just see where we go with that. Let's just see what comes out as a general answer to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. things like that version. Yep. Okay. I love you guys chatting with each other. It's just so nice to see. Okay. Mama, do you want to put some energy into
I
that?
will definitely do that.
Mhm. Emails. Oh, thank you, Ricky. Receiving emails. I'm grateful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, Valerie and Christine.
Hello, Valerie, Christine, Laura.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Lisa. Okay.
So thinking
coming
about
along.
new earth, new lands appearing. I've really been hearing a lot about that. And whirlpool of energy being drawn into earth frequency. Will you divide it, Crystal, and then choose one?
Yes. I'm gonna go right here. See what we got going on. Ooh, look at that. Well, if that's not a whirlpool card.
Right? It is a spinning.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I got some
She's
things
got
to
something.
say about this. So I feel like this kind of gets in a little bit to do with not terraforming, but a little bit to do with our human, pull it down a bit more, sweetie, thanks. Our human role in designing what our earth looks like. And what I've been shown over the years is that like it's a co-creative process, and we are part of the consciousness that designs this. It's almost like a macrocosm, microcosm, because as we learn to design, it's interesting, we're talking about design. Leo also is basically rules the energy of design, especially things like feng shui and the artistry of design. And so when we design, like, for example, our own physical experience, our own bodies, our clothing, our tools, our homes, our lands, our communities, and expand out and out and out, it's like we're literally designing on a almost like large planetary interdimensional universal level as well. And so what I'm hearing is that this is a great opportunity, even in the next decade, 10 to 20 years, where we step into like visioning and designing Earth based on, like we hear in the creation stories of the Bible, humanity was designed in the image of God, our Earth was designed in the image of the cosmos, and all of this energy around what we want it to look like, and what does the harmonic beauty look like. And I think we've been so stilted on having no freedom to imagine those things. Like we've lived in a slavery system where we don't feel we have any, not only a right, but any capacity to create beauty in our world. And I think we're doing both, designing like lands. Basically what I'm saying is it's not just random, and we don't just get what we're given. We actually co-create with the spirit and consciousness of Earth and cosmos to build a beautiful planet. And I've been shown, we talk about the Amazon rainforest, for example, and in readings over the last 20 years, I've seen little snippets of information about things like that at some timeline in our, whatever you call it, history, future, we have actually terraformed and seeded a lot of those extraordinary landscapes and ecosystems. Now, did we just do that like a bunch of humans out scattering seeds? It was done with an interdimensional and co-creational, sort of like what you would do if you had like a divine relationship with Source and you were channeling on behalf of Source. So it's not just coming out of the human mind, but it's the human hands and heart building what they're being shown through their imagination and their intuition. So this is yes, we have strategy, right? The Seven of Swords. It could go any number of ways. There is that whirlpooling energy. Can we draw fresh water out of the ethers? And how do we strategize? Because this is a planning, this is a strategizing, and this is a choice. So we've got choosing, strategizing, planning, and visualizing. And over the next 10 to 20 years, 10 being the Wheel of Fortune, we're going to start to see our role differently, that we actually have the power to create. And I guess my closest reference to all of this is the Anastasia series, the Ringing Cedar series out of Russia. And in that phenomenal series of books, basically we are taken on a journey of remembering, I want to say, like, the dignity of our humanity and our sacred relationship with Earth and Cosmos, where we are literally co-creators and designers of beauty on this planet. And in this series of books, which I have right here on my bookshelf beside me, I'll grab it in a sec here, she talks about, or the author and the the character of Anastasia, they discuss how we can make a beautiful planet basically starting in our own backyard and moving out from that. So I think what you're referring to, Suzanne, is like we're looking at bigger, larger movements of elements, earth and water and air, and alchemizing all of those things. But I feel like we're going to have so much more to work with, and it's going to be so much more open to co-creation when we see ourselves as creators, as co-creators, and we start to utilize that ability with what we have right around us. I kind of see the salty seawater go down and the clean, alive, pure fountain of life spring up and cleansing out our world, starting with the Sahara. Well, interesting too, right? Because saline, the salt water, is also a purifier. So I feel like we've needed salty water to cleanse and to continue to there's something about the saline aspect. It's so interesting, right? Because we're talking about blood and the chemistry of blood,
and blood is thicker than water. And
thicker than water.
And there's so much about like cleansing our blood and healing, and then we're talking about water and, oh my gosh, working with our water and blessing our water and putting the frequency into our water. I mean, it is a topic. Love it. Really love it. And I was really hearing with these 2 as above, so below, and you're talking a lot about Earth and Cosmos. So it's just like so much of that alignment and the grand mystery of it all. The choices we make.
Okay, we're going to go on to the next couple of questions here. So Laura is asking about Leos. So we're going to stay on this Leo train for a little while longer. I love it. Laura's saying, do Leos feel more themselves because of the full moon? Curious. Will you pull 3 on that?
Take 3. Yeah.
Oh, let's just start with the one that flew out.
7 of Swords again.
Okay, so I feel like what I want to say about Leos is that they do get a bit of a bad rep. Well, all our signs get a bad rep for different reasons. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, interesting. That's like the lion, the Leo lion.
That is
right
definitely
there.
a Leo-ish card right there.
Do you see this? The lion on his throne. So there's probably half a dozen of the 78 cards in the tarot that have a lion on them, and that is one of them. So that's interesting. I feel as though there's an energy of exaltation in terms of really owning your Leoness. I know my Leo friends, and often, they're renowned for being a little bit self-centered, right? And sometimes people find that quite offensive about Leos. It's like, that they sort of claim their space, they claim reality. They're like
in your face.
Yeah, they're sort of, let's just say, a little bit dominant in terms of where they place themselves. They place themselves at the center of the universe. However, the beautiful thing about Leos is that from that place, they reach out and they care for the whole village, right? Oh, look at that. Yeah, move. It's just
Sorry, I didn't want to take over there, but I was like, I feel like we need more. We always try to start with 3 and then we let go, but more. There's more to it.
Yeah. So interesting, right?
Do you want to finish, Mom, what you were
Yeah,
saying?
I'm gonna
I didn't mean
finish.
to interrupt you there.
That's okay. So fiery claiming, right? That strategy again. What are you going to do with your energy, Leos? Claiming the honor that, yes, you do take up a lot of space and you do like to be center stage, but from that position, you do also do so much inner work. You are a leader and a role model. Somebody has to step into that limelight and lead others. And there's so much care. That's because Leos are known for, they're larger than life characters, but they also have larger than life hearts. And they're very in it for the good of all. It might not look like that. So we can take a page from the Leo book. So those of you that are Leos, this is a great week to really honor that, just the deeper wisdom and the deeper medicine of what it means to take that front and center spot, to be the first, to get in the limelight. And what do you do with that limelight? And usually Leos that are healthy and balanced in themselves, they utilize that limelight to help the greater cause.
Yeah, it feels like a greater vision, and the full moons are a great time to sort of honor the light and the darkness, and for Leos to just take a bit of that time to go inwards and focus on the dreaming of the great picture, and then taking that out into the light and leading by example with that, as Mom was saying. So there's something about working with the full moon energy to go internal with it, whereas they tend to, to kind of cultivate it before you bring it forward. And it's a great time to do that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
So, and thank you, Leos, for being those people, and all of us who have also Leo aspects in our charts.
Okay, Lisa's question is, very interesting halftime question.
Halftime.
Let's go with this. I heard that the contract between the aliens and their taking of people will be over in the next couple of months. Will they abide by this end? Okay. Now, are you ready, folks? Gonna put on your seatbelts here, because I'm going to take you on a bit of a wild ride. Trying to figure out how to start out. Let's let the cards start, and then I'll go from there.
I would love for you to do some shuffling as well here. And then there is a question after this that I wanted to look at, and I don't know if we missed it, but there was one over here that I wanted to. This one here.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll go to that after. Christine, I would love to answer your question next. So just so you know, I've seen it, because I'd like to speak to that as well.
So the contract between aliens and their taking of people will be over in the next couple of months. And will they abide by this end? Okay. I'm going to let the cards tell me how to
start
approach
on
this. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, there's that feller again. Gosh, we
Oh,
both shuffled that, and
we both shuffled that, and it's a lot of the
Okay.
same cards. Okay, yeah.
I'm a little wiggly wonkly here. Give me a moment. Let me get them down, and then I don't know if that says anything to anything, but okay, let me see
Yeah.
here. Hmm. Okay.
Crystal, I want you to go first.
You do?
I do,
Oh
because
my
I want to feel
privilege.
how to present some of what I could say
The
about
bigger
this.
things that
Yeah.
you have to say. Okay. Um, so I don't know that the contract will be over. I feel like there's definitely, wow, we've got two sevens here. So there's definitely like a reevaluation about what the contract is, because I feel like we've been sort of like split between the realms, or like it's been us and them, and there's maybe new contracts that are being written up, um where old contracts will come to an end, but we've got like um maybe negotiations are happening at this point, and there's new contracts that are going to be written, because we're becoming a lot more aware, right? And so yeah, I feel like we're starting to get messages from our star seeds lineage, and we're really coming into our own power and boundaries about
Mhm.
us as beings, like,
Ooh, yeah, good
and
one.
so you can't just come in and play the star of the show. Like, this is our planet and our people, and so we're
Mhm.
re-strategizing our contract with you.
Amazing,
That's what I see.
amazing. Cool,
Yeah,
cool. Okay, so I want to take you on a bit of a journey here.
I'll
And
sit
and
back
I
and
think
enjoy.
some of you, know, like have this perspective developing, and again, it's just something for consideration. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's totally fine. However, I have grown more and more to an awareness that what we call aliens are actually what I would refer to as interdimensional timeline versions of other aspects of us. So that's something to start with as a foundational perspective, that this idea that we are being inundated from somewhere else by these beings that are like nothing to do with us. They're like very different than us, or we might share some lineages from a star nation from long ago or something, but they've gone a different way and evolved differently. And again, there's a sense of division here, right? It's like, well, it's us and them, like Crystal said. It's this energy of like, we're separate. And I think we're starting to actually move towards a unification of we are them. So therefore, if a contract is happening or not happening, and if we're talking about taking of people, it's very materialist, right? This whole idea of we're going to be taken up into spaceships and these experiments are going to be done on us, and then we're going to be brought back against our will, and that it's all to do with physical things, right? The spaceships are physical. They come down, they take the physical body and they do these physical things to it, and and then also maybe tamper with the DNA or mess with people's psychologically and so on. It's basically, to me, what I'm being shown more and more is that we have a tremendous power to create form. So we can literally create aliens by focusing on that. What we call aliens, but it's basically like, you could call it like a type of holographic egregore, something that we've concocted to serve a function. But I really believe that we design all of this. Just like I was
Hmm.
saying about terraforming Earth, that we actually, it's us conceptualizing a physical entity that creates it into this dimension. Because I do not believe that beings in other, like I believe that the star ancestors are our own interdimensional timeline selves. And you can talk about, when we look at a lot of the stories that, I've got a library here full of books on Palladian channeling and Arcturian channeling, and they all say we are you, we're future you, or we're you in the past, or like, this is not unusual as a sort of a teaching, that when we say we came from the stars, what we mean is that is another timeline, interdimensional version of us. So the contracts, will they honor the contracts? Will we stop? Will we say, we don't want to create this egregore anymore?
Mm-hmm.
We don't need this anymore. We're going to stop that. We're going to create something more valuable, right? We're not going to create another monster that attacks us and steals our energy. That is us basically creating, externalizing the trauma that we've suffered and creating it into something that attacks us. What do they say? Like you start off by being traumatized, and then you basically recreate your trauma over and over again. So we're recreating our essentially traumas that we have chosen to experience, and we're turning them into these forms, and we're giving them a name of aliens. So we have so much power over this. It's not something that happens to us. It's something that's coming through us. And because it's coming through us, we design it, and we can say, okay, I think, spiritually speaking, I don't have need for that anymore. I'm not attached to that narrative anymore. I can see beyond it. So let me know how this is resonating for you folks. It's a big one. It's a big one.
Beautiful. Resonate. This is Shella. Beautiful.
I'll go slower. I want to just see.
I read all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
the timeline of us being dissolved. Yeah.
The more we heal our Akashic, the less power it has.
I mean, people as their food. Okay, let me just see this. Okay, go. I don't know what that's about. Will they renegotiate still taking us? And so again, I guess the question is, do you believe that you can actually create something that does you physical harm in the 3D world? And the answer to that is, I believe yes. If you consider all of our ancient, let's just say like medicine shaman, what they do, you can literally see them. They extract physical things out of people's skin, and then the skin seals over again, and it's like so much of what we live in the 3D is created up here. It's created in the imagination. And then we can literally create monsters that attack us physically, and we experience it in 3D. So what was your question, Crystal?
I pulled a card on that. Will they renegotiate by still taking us? I feel like we couldn't say yes or no to that necessarily, but no matter what happens, it's for the greater good. Whatever the outcome of renegotiation, I feel like we are set to see a really beautiful future with this. So it's a great thing to be bringing up. I mean, what do you feel, Mom, with that as the answer?
Well, I feel again, it's like are we being neglectful by saying that is no longer part of my narrative? Is that neglectful? I don't think it is. If you watch what happens, and what do the shaman and medicine people always say? They say, heal yourself, and these things will stop happening to you. Think about
Mm.
Christ. Heal yourself and you will stop creating hell on earth. Like it's we draw these things. You can speculate. I'm not expecting any of you to buy this whole narrative, this whole angle, but speculatively speaking, you can say, well, am I more likely to draw these, being taken as food? And the more I create that as my truth, am I more likely to draw it to me? Am I more likely to build that aggregate and create that? Or am I more likely to create something different if I focus my attention on different things? So I think to be curious and go a little deeper into the history, the shamanic traditions, how do different ancient cultures handle these things? They would say, for example, if a sickness came through or a Wendigo came through and started capturing children, they would say that is a thought form that we've built in our culture because someone is out of balance. That there's been a big fight happened or something, there was a terrible trauma and people went out of balance psychologically and they started creating these things, diseases. So basically we create a lot of this really sort of dark power control energy that's consuming us when we're out of balance. And so the shaman would say, we don't go out there and attack that thing. We heal the people and that thing will disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, who knows if that has anything to do with this as well. I've been feeling drained every day. Same with many people I know. Is there a reason for feeling exhausted, drained, and lack of motivation?
Okay.
I feel like if you want to cut that, and I'll just pull a few cards on that, and then
sounds like you have a thought on that too.
Well, my thought is I've been sitting here contemplating. I actually have a solo live coming up at the last Tuesday of the month here. And I was thinking that I would love for it to be like a get personal with me kind of live. And maybe I speak to some more sort of shorter one-on-one sort of or personalized questions and stuff in terms of like what's going on with us internally and stuff like that as well. So I thought it could be cute to have a little bit of a theme since it's just me to kind of get personal with me and let's share a little bit more personally about ourselves maybe.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so let's pull a few cards on this. Of course, worldly questions are always top priority as well. Okay. Interesting. So there's the burnout card. So okay. So I'm going to pull one more and then I can speak to that. So it feels like actually that this feeling drained has something to do with our energy fields. So there's something that is interesting, maybe like a bit of so much focus on like our material reality. And it's kind of a gift that we're sort of looking in that direction quite a lot right now. But it is actually really quite emotionally draining. And we've got a couple of new beginning, like with these 2 pages here, and kind of a heartbreak card, like a rupture card here. So we're emotionally feeling triggered a lot, and our inner children are sort of coming out. So there's a bit of kind of the gift of an intentional upgrade that's happening. I often speak to when I get a cold or a sickness of some sort that my body is asking for an upgrade, or when a challenging dynamic comes into our life or we feel really low, that it's like, oh, this is your system's time to upgrade. And actually, what we can focus on is working with energy. So, getting grounding into the earth, working with caring for our hearts, caring for like the little children inside of us, and then like putting our hands to work. Get out so much from sort of like the mental realm and putting our hands to work, creating, crafting. Um, is there something where it's like hands-on, tangible skills that we can be focusing on more to kind of step by step keep us grounded and motivated in that reality, and that we may have more value in what we can offer and what we can create than we think.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I mean, this is like we've had a gift, and the gift is the gift of renewal, as Crystal said, 2 pages here. So it's like, in a way, a door has been opened, but the fact that the door has been opened, it's almost like what I'm being shown is sort of like houseplants. We're like houseplants, you know, the door to the outside has been opened, but we're not conditioned to it. We're not conditioned to go outside. We're sort of weakened in a way from the life that we've lived, from the way that we've lived, the way that we've been conditioned, programmed, and so on. So it feels like a burden to grow. As Crystal was saying, you know, it's actually an upgrade. We're going through an upgrade, but it's hard on our system because we're not used to this. We're not used to higher frequency. We're not used to having and it brings up, so is it a physical thing? Is it a physical problem, the draining? I get a no. Look at this. Emotional. It's an emotional problem. It's grief. It's all the emotional attachments, all the lingering sorrows, all the unprocessed, unhealed trauma and grief. That's what's weighing us down.
Amen.
It's not so physical, you know, and therefore you will notice, like, for example, if it really was just a physical thing, you wouldn't notice such fluctuation in it. And Christine, I'm guessing you, like many of us, it fluctuates, like you're down, 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 and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, like you got all this energy and then you're like down, down, down again. And it feels like you're more down than you are energized. But when it shifts, it can be night and day. And so I think that's because we are, like I said, it is an emotional thing. And when you have that emotional reprieve, or as Crystal said, you've processed something, suddenly you feel like lighter. But then the next wave of stuff, because there's a lot to be done here, right? The next wave happens. And I have to say that I have this beautiful being to thank for helping me all these years with this exact thing. Because Crystal would say to me, you know, 2 decades ago, I'd be going through something and I'd be just tired or discouraged or overwhelmed or anxious. And I'd have a rock bottom day or week or month. And Crystal say, Mom, you know what follows this? It always, the next, you know, emerging moment or the next thing that happens is a renewal. It's an upgrade. You know what's coming after this is going to be like a fresh new moment, and something new will be birthed. And in the beginning, I used to be like, oh, no. You don't know how bad it is, Crystal. Seriously.
Well, and then I would be like, the amount of how bad it is the amount of how good it's going to be.
And I'd be like, no.
And then a few days later, she would come to me and be like, yeah, you know, she'd be talking all about this and that. And I'd be like, she'd be like, you're right.
Yeah. So, but now what I notice is that these things are happening for us a lot faster. So I could go through that in, you know, ups and downs in a week. But it's really helped me to say, oh, I know. Like I just had a really big thing earlier this week and I was like, but we talk it out now and I'm like, yeah, something's happening. I'm processing a big thing and the draining and all the things and physical symptoms. And then whew, clear that. It's emotional stuff. It's emotional. And so that's why, especially this year, and if you check out my blog, so if you go on to the website link that I'm going to post after this live, you can subscribe to our website, and I'm going to be putting out bi-weekly, well, myself and or Crystal putting out bi-weekly blogs. The first one that I put up is you can find it on the website right across the top menu. It's under blog, and it's about the year of the snake, 2025, this year. It's also the number 9 synthesis. So I wrote a little short blog on that. And this is we're going to be working a lot with this energy of the transmuting of this emotional stuff that's weighing us down. And as Crystal said, just as a final comment on this, how do we, if it's emotional, obviously we're going to address it emotionally. So therefore, therapeutic processes like coaching, readings, counseling, really helpful. And also what you do with your hands. So getting productive. This is a great year. This is a great season. Get your hands in the earth. Bake, craft, cook, do art, right? Full moon in Leo. Do art. Design things. Yeah. I usually recall to say thank you for the upgrade when I'm feeling symptoms, not always fun, but learning to honor it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Woof, just like that, an hour. Oh, thank you, Tara Lupo.
Yeah, the Hermit newsletter blog is just the beginnings of a little offering that I'm going to be putting out bi-weekly blog series on a whole variety of topics. We got so much really amazing events coming up this year, different offerings on the website, and connecting to some of my offerings at Beyond Mystic. And yeah, it feels like, just to sort of sum up today's session, there's the energy of us feeling like we are still, to some degree, victims of this very power dominant system where we're still, let's just say, vulnerable, disempowered, and yet we are having huge breakthroughs. And the more we can learn about how to work with our, I'm hearing the word adapt to the new version of ourselves, which is what? Well, it knows how to listen to its own inner wisdom. It can follow its own intuition, instinct, and guidance. It forms an incredible relationship with source so that it can have ongoing kind of upgrades and clear paths of how to navigate. It seems so crazy and so confusing, and yet the more in line you are within yourself, the more you just make that right turn at the right moment. What did they say? In the right place at the right time. And same with things like things like these experiences of the realities we've co-created. I am not saying that, alien abductions are not real. What I'm saying is that we've created that out of our own,
frequency.
Yeah, it's almost like a shadow projection of our own woundedness. And so we can heal that and it will stop happening. Now, if you're a materialist, you can say, well, it just stopped happening because we lifted the frequency and it no longer resonates here. Great. See it that way. Like, yeah, absolutely. We can stop it happening by lifting the frequency and it doesn't have a place. Never mind contracts signed or not signed. It's just like the whole clear the deck of that frequency and elevate. But that's different than bypassing and just going disassociative into the spiritual realm, because going in that way to say we're going to up level the frequency, it's work. You have to hold frequency. You have to evolve. You can't just, it's not just a disconnect your brain and try to think happy thoughts no matter what's going on. It won't last, right? So we have to continually work. And, you know, in ancient traditions, it was called, you know, enlightenment, right? That we could be enlightened. But enlightenment is not a place you get to and you get to just sort of sit up there on your throne of enlightenment and be like, ah, I made it. It's work. It's a frequency that you get to sort of hit that stride. The guides are saying it's like being in shape in your body. You can be in amazing shape physically, but if you sit around and do nothing for a couple of months, you won't be in shape anymore. Enlightenment is like that. It's like a muscle. It's like a spiritual muscle. You got to sort of stay in shape with it. So, yeah. Woohoo!
Beautiful.
Definitely.
Well done, everyone. Thank you for being here and joining us today. It is always a true honor and pleasure to see you all. And thank you for being our community. Thank you for sharing in these moments with us. It is such an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. Blessings and good fortune to everyone, Ethan says, and I agree. Good fortune to everyone. We are also, there's something about the Leo full moon, which is about contemplating fortune and lasting. You know, Leo, again, is alchemically connected to gold. And gold is the thing that has lasting value. So, well, in terms of the metals and the currencies, gold is the gold standard, right? So tune into that gold standard frequency of what it means to have great value on this planet, and that we have so much agency to create this planet into a beautiful place.
Ooh, I have something. Okay, remember when we were talking about the contracts with the aliens and the sun came up? Okay, so the frequency of gold is also the frequency of the sun to me. And so tuning into the frequency of the sun and that light, like that vibration is also what's going to help us to override like this whole I do not consent piece is like come at it from that high lit up frequency of the sun and gold.
Aww.
Mic drop.
Have a beautiful week, everyone. We'll see you here again next week, and I will go on and put the links right away here.
Thanks, Ricky.
Yes,
for being on
so
it.
Much. Blessings, everybody. Bye for now.